Well, welcome back. So, first episode since the whole 30 and 30 debacle. Yet, kind of burned me out. Probably burned you all out too. So, figured we'd give you a little catch up as to where this thing is at this moment. Still sitting right here, ain't moved. Nope. We were going to go racing last weekend. Didn't take much persuasion from the better half to convince me that I probably ought to go. So I decided I was going to go to the track, and then they postponed it. I got a bunch of rain from the hurricane. Grounds were really wet. I got a little more rain at the beginning of the week, but the main reason was, a bunch of folks in the mountains that are in really bad shape right now. They knew there were some folks that were going to come from that direction. They knew there were several racers that, frequent this track a lot, that had went to the mountains to volunteer, help clean up, search and rescue, all of that stuff. So they felt it was just best to postpone it. That way, somebody wasn't missing something while they were out, doing a good deed. I don't blame them. I mean, it was, So, what did we do in the meantime? Well, the roof's all one color. So we did sand it down some more, chipped some more paint off, sanded it down some, sprayed a lot more paint on it. Had to sand it a little bit because it didn't look so great in some areas. So about this, so the best way to put it is, does it look worse than it did? No. It's all one color, so that's better. Does it look better than it did? It's all one color, so it's different than it was. And we'll just leave it at that. We were on Poppy's website, looking at ordering us some. I think we're going to go matte finish because I think it will hide a lot of the imperfections better than the gloss will. So we were looking at it and thought, well, let's read some of the instructions on this and see just what it says to do. All right, pretty straightforward stuff, Wash it, scuff it up, go over it with a tack cloth, get rid of all the wax and all of any kind of stuff like that on it. And then it said wiping is not recommended for over spray paint. It's all spray paint. Yes. It says areas like that need to be sprayed because when you wipe, it may re-wet the spray paint, causing it to wrinkle up. The whole roof is spray paint. Kind of screwed that up, didn't we? So I'm still going to order some, and I think what I'm going to do is I'll do the hood and the fenders and all of that stuff, and then maybe try an area up here and see what it does, just a little area, and see if it wrinkles. And if it wrinkles, then I guess hopefully we'll have enough left over where we can load it into a spray gun and tape everything off and try spraying. The whole roof is spray paint. But we'll get the rest of the car done first, and then whatever we have left. It says it'll do a long bed C10 pickup and then some. This is definitely not as long as a long bed C10 pickup. So we should have some left over. As for anything else that we have done, we've done nothing. No, nothing. I've got a couple of parts in the bucket. Well, I did order a spare belt because you probably just can't go down to O'Reilly's or Advance and get you an 8-rib belt that will fit this thing. They probably don't have that on the shelf. When I looked it up, it says it's for like a Kenworth and Peterbilt, and yeah, so that's not something O'Reilly's is going to stock, I doubt. So we ordered that. We ordered some sway bar end links because We lost one of these when we took it off of here 20 years ago. And some new sway bar bushings, because these are in pretty shitty shape. The sway bar's not big enough, but you know, a little sway bar hooked up, a little sway bar hooked up is better than no sway bar. So we'll get that hooked back up for the whole street driving business. And speaking of the street driving business, I'm really thinking that I goofed when I put this camshaft in. I do not think it is going to be happy with a 325 gear and a 2800 stall converter. I think it's going to be an unhappy camper at cruise speed, which is going to be around 2800 RPM, which this cam's not even making power yet at that point. We'll try it. I mean, you know, we'll try it before we decide what we're going to do. It probably really needs a cam with 10 degrees less duration on it. This thing is 242, 246 at 50, I think. I just don't think it's gonna, I mean, I may be wrong, you know, that happens a lot. But once we get it all put together and we drive it on the street, drive it around the block, you know, drive it a little bit with the 325 gear and the 2800 stall converter, and we see how it acts. If it's unhappy, we'll either need to decide if we want to buy some hydraulic springs and put the camshaft that we have on the shelf in there in the car. It's like 232, 237, something like that. Hydraulic, just a flat tappet hydraulic. It's an XE 274 comp, I think, hydraulic. Or if we wanted not have to change valve springs and put a hydraulic roller in it and get like a Doug Herbert cam or Chet Herbert hydraulic roller that's not as expensive as everybody else's, which will still be good enough for this thing. Something that's 230, 232 on the intake and no more than hopefully 236, 238 on the exhaust, with like a 112 lobe separation instead of a 108. So that's where we are right now. We did learn there is a race this weekend at the track closest to me. It's a nostalgia race. So they're going to have some stuff like front engine dragsters there and some old super stock and stock class guys and the old timer stuff. And they're also going to run a bracket race with top and foot brake. I don't know if it's mixed together or if it's separate or what it is, but it's $40 entry fee as opposed to $100. Something like that. We may get 2-time runs, 1990 and older. With something like that, we may get 2-time runs. So $40, 2-time runs, 1 round of elimination. You know, that's 3 passes for $40 as opposed to 2 for $100, which is what we were going to get last week. Or if we only get 1 time run, it's still 2 passes for $40 as opposed to 2 for $100. And then we'll decide from there what we want to do with it. If we want to take it back to the track anymore, or if we just want to throw the whole towel in on that process. It starts right after you turn it off and turn it back on. The starter saver works. It stops in a straight line. It only took 2 wheel cylinders and 2 brake lines up front, and I think it probably really only took 1 wheel cylinder, but we were stupid and we didn't check it. I think the backs are all right. I don't got much else. No progress on my race car. Still waiting for my buddy for cylinder heads on that. He's had some other things come up, and since we're running out of season and that's not going to be ready regardless, there's no rush for him to bust his butt getting something done that he's not getting paid for. Although I've offered several times. So at this point, that's all we got. I guess we'll talk to you later.